Welcome to SQE1 Preparation Criminal Practice Solicitor Conduct Issues at the Police Station by Street Lawyer, helping you to pass first time. The FLK2 Criminal Law and Practice specification says this: procedure for interviewing a suspect under PACE 1984, role and appropriate conduct by defence legal representatives, solicitors including representation of vulnerable client. Separate posts have been done on the role of the defence solicitor at the police station and advising clients about the right to silence and adverse inferences, so please watch those posts too. By way of SQE1 exam tips, SBAQs may expect SQE students to know under what circumstances can and cannot a defence solicitor represent a guilty client, when can and cannot a defence solicitor represent two or more clients, who makes the decision whether there is a conflict of interest, how does a defence solicitor guard against two or more clients concocting a defence, and what should a defence solicitor say if they cannot represent a client? There are three test your knowledge questions. So test your knowledge 1 is about Pepper Potts. The defence solicitor is acting for Tony Stark at the police station. When she becomes aware there is a conflict of interest with an existing client she is already representing, Miss Potts has decided she cannot act for Tony Stark. What should the defence solicitor say to the custody officer? A, that she no longer wants to act for Mr. Stark. B, that she can no longer act for Mr. Stark as there is a conflict with an existing client, Mr. Rogers. C, that she can no longer represent Mr. Stark, but someone from the same firm will attend instead. Or D, that she is no longer able to represent Mr. Stark for professional reasons. Test your knowledge 2. Pepper Potts, the defence solicitor, went to the police station to advise Tony Stark and Steve Rogers after their arrest for theft of a watch at a jeweller's. She spoke to each suspect separately. They both denied the allegation. Tony Stark said he was asking genuine questions of the sales assistant in the shop, and Steve Rogers told Tony Stark to put the watch in his pocket and he forgot to pay for it. What key factor would have been relevant to the decision for the defence solicitor to represent both suspects? A, the defence firm will be paid more for representing two, not one client at the police station. B, there is no conflict of interest. Or C, they are both existing clients of the firm. And test your knowledge 3. Tony Stark, a suspect in a murder case, has admitted to his defence solicitor prior to the police interview he stabbed the victim with a knife in a park. Which of the following is a course of conduct the defence solicitor can take? A, Mr. Stark tells his defence solicitor he intends to deny presence in the park in the police interview. Defence solicitor intends to represent Mr. Stark in the police interview. B, Mr. Stark tells his defence solicitor he intends to deny stabbing the victim with the knife in the police interview. The defence solicitor intends to represent Mr. Stark in the police interview. Or is it C, Mr. Stark admits to murdering the victim out of revenge for sleeping with his wife, but intends to remain silent during the police interview. The defence solicitor intends to represent Mr. Stark in the police interview. All those test your knowledge questions are answered at the end. So let's look at some of the legal concepts behind the conduct issues of a solicitor at the police station. Question: can a defence solicitor represent a client who admits guilt and intends to give false information during a police interview? No. Where a client admits they committed the offence to the defence solicitor for which they have been arrested for, but wants to deny the offence when interviewed by the police, the defence solicitor, now pay careful attention to the steps that are taken by the defence solicitor, must advise the client they cannot attend to represent them at the police interview if the client intends to deny the offence, because they cannot be party to false information being given, as this is a breach of their solicitor's duty not to mislead the court, should attempt to dissuade the client from giving false information, that is, deny committing the offence to the police, must decline to act and withdraw if the client intends to deny the offence. The defence solicitor is still under an ongoing duty of confidentiality to the client, so cannot disclose to the police why they are declining to act for the client and leaving the police station. Question: can a defence solicitor represent a client who admits guilt but who intends to give no comment to police questions during a police interview? Yes, a defence solicitor can still continue to act for a client who admits the offence but intends to give no comment interview, as this does not involve giving false information to the police. And the same goes if the client was to remain silent during the police interview. Question: can a defence solicitor act for 2 or more clients at the police station? Yes, as long as there is no conflict of interest or a significant risk of a conflict between the suspects. The defence solicitor should always be alert to a conflict of interest or a significant risk of conflict between 2 or more clients. Question: can a custody officer make the decision on behalf of a defence solicitor that there is a conflict of interest between 2 suspects? The answer is no. The decision whether there is or is not a conflict of interest rests with the defence solicitor, not the police. Question: what steps should a defence solicitor take to ascertain whether there is or is not a conflict of interest between 2 clients? And I'm giving a couple of situations, but here's situation 1. Where there is a clear and obvious conflict after seeing the first client, the defence solicitor should speak to one client. If it is clear there is an obvious conflict of interest, e.g. the client denies the offence but accuses the other suspect of committing the offence, the solicitor can continue acting for the first client but should decline to act for the second suspect who they have not yet seen and inform the police they are not acting for the second suspect. To act in these circumstances would be a breach of code. And then you have the second situation, situation 2, conflicts emerge after seeing both clients. So for example, where both clients accuse the other of the offence while denying committing the offence. In this situation, the defence solicitor should decline to act for both clients. This is because the defence solicitor is now in possession of confidential information from both clients, which could not be passed on to the client they may wish to continue to act for. Question: should a defence solicitor disclose information from the first client to the second client? Assuming the defence solicitor can act for both clients and there is no conflict of interest, they must not disclose information they have been told by one client to another client because of the duty of confidentiality, unless the solicitor obtains the other client's consent to disclose the information, both clients are putting forward consistent accounts, the solicitor considers it in their client's best interest for the information to be disclosed, and the solicitor does not consider it to be a breach of their duty to mislead the court. Question: how should a solicitor guard against 2 clients fabricating a defence and concocting a story? 2 clients may ask a defence solicitor to pass information from one to the other and vice versa. To guard against a client fabricating a defence and concocting a story, the defence solicitor should obtain an account from the first client and, before passing information from the first client subject to the authority from the first client to the second client, obtain the second client's account. If the accounts are inconsistent, the defence solicitor should not pass information from the first client to the second client and withdraw from acting for both clients. Question: can a defence solicitor disclose their client's defence to another solicitor acting for another client? Generally, the answer is no, because of the solicitor's duty of confidentiality to their client, unless the client has provided an authority to disclose their defence and it is in the best interest of the client and the defence solicitor is not party to misleading the court by doing so. Question, and this is a very interesting question: is there any information which the defence solicitor must not disclose to the client? Generally, the defence solicitor is required to make a client aware of all material information of which they have knowledge of. So, for example, if a police officer requests that information not be disclosed to their client, the defence solicitor must disclose this information. However, there are limited exceptions where the defence solicitor is not under a duty to disclose information to their client. Disclosure is prohibited for national security or to prevent a crime. The client gives informed consent to the information not being disclosed. The defence solicitor has reason to believe that serious physical and mental injury will be caused to the client or another if the information was disclosed, and the information is contained in a privileged document that has been mistakenly disclosed to the defence solicitor. Question: how does a defence solicitor withdraw from a case? If a defence solicitor decides to withdraw from acting for a client, they should explain to the client they are no longer acting for them, inform the client they are entitled to free and independent legal advice of their choice or from the duty solicitor, inform the client they are still under a duty of confidentiality despite no longer acting for the client and withdrawing, and then tell the custody officer that they are no longer acting for the client without giving any reasons, which would be a breach of duty of confidentiality to their now former client, and then they must leave the police station. Now, returning to those test your knowledge questions, pause the video, read the question, and check the answer. Test your knowledge 2, again, pause the slide and check the answer. And then finally, test your knowledge 3, pause the slide, check the answer. Remember, watch all the videos in the SQE1 Prep Criminal Practice series. Understand the functioning legal knowledge being examined by reading the SRA website for yourself. Understand the legal concepts. Revise from a good SQE book. Attend and participate in class. Prepare Q&A flashcards. Practice as many SBAQs as possible. Subscribe to CLE and put your notification on so you don't miss out on more SQE prep videos. Hope you found this class useful. See you in the next class, and thank you for watching.